Welcome to video round 3. This week I'm going to talk about phrases that I think are kind of everyday casual phrases that we use that are sexist and that possibly need to stop. Today's t-shirt is "The future is female," whoop whoop, and I love it, yeah, and I have my pink pants, so I'm feeling all cute today. After a while as well, the t-shirts are gonna stop because I don't have that many feminist clothes. What I think is hilarious is that I was walking around earlier on and there's just a lot of people staring and I'm just like, yeah, the future is female. Thank you very much. Today's video is going to focus on kind of everyday phrases that we use and that probably aren't the nicest phrases. They're kind of maybe a bit derogatory, but they're not overtly sexist, or they're not things that you'd kind of be calling out on. You might just say them and you might not even realise that they're a bit off. I'm just going to raise awareness for a few of them, and maybe you might think about, you know, whether you say them or whether, you know, you have a friend that says them. And I think it's just good to become more conscious of the language we use. I mean, obviously there's this whole debate on free speech and, you know, whether you should be allowed to say things, and I'm not telling anyone not to say anything, but I think just as a starting point, just to be conscious of what you say and whether you are exactly meaning what you're saying or whether you're just kind of saying it because it's something that you think you should say. Having said that, this channel is going to kind of focus on, you know, everyday sexism or casual sexism. I will focus on, you know, so many things hopefully doing this, but one of my biggest interests is, you know, everyday sexism. I don't really like to use the term casual sexism because it implies that it's not a big deal, but yeah, just everyday sexism, that, you know, things that we don't really think about that are kind of a bit more ingrained into us and how we act, and because of that it makes them kind of harder to change because they're so, you know, in everything we do, and also because they're not seen as that big of a deal, so they're harder to change because people are just like, oh, you know, that's fine, that's not a thing. Having said this as well though, you know, I am super aware of my privilege, I guess, in being able to focus on everyday sexism. You know, there are so many, you know, different feminist issues, huge, you know, really big issues, you know, like just for example, you know, reproductive rights or sexual violence. There are so many different areas to focus on, but personally one of my biggest interests is everyday sexism. But I am fully aware of, you know, of my privilege just to point it out that I can focus on that I can focus on these kind of smaller things. And I think mostly it is because that's what I experience the most. Obviously I'm very privileged, you know, white woman, straight, cisgender, all that lovely stuff. This does affect me the most, and I suppose that's probably where my interest in it comes from. Just to point out that I am fully aware that there are so many different issues and this is just one of them, and I'm not kind of diminishing the other huge issues by focusing on this. It's just, you know, it's just an issue and it's part of it. I'm gonna kind of maybe just touch on a few phrases that we use, you know, make you think about it. So the first one I have is phrase "to get your knickers in a twist." And it's so funny, I mean, I would never really use this phrase. I don't really know maybe who does. Maybe it's like a British thing, or you see it on TV or something, I think. But I think it's so interesting that it's like, it's knickers, it's, you know, it's female underwear, of course, you know. And I mean, the phrase is that, you know, oh, don't get your knickers in a twist, like, oh, you know, don't, you know, get upset about something that's not, you know, that's seemingly unimportant, you know, don't be making a big deal out of anything, you know, don't get crazy, you know, all the things that women are told. And I just think it's so funny that, like, the phrase used to tell people calm down, of course, uses female underwear. Like God forbid it would, like, don't get your, you know, insert male underwear here in a twist. I just think it's so interesting. That's just kind of an example. It's just like things like that. We don't even think about it, you know, like, there's probably loads of people who are, you know, off saying that phrase and they're not bad people, you know, and they don't mean anything bad by it. It's just, you know, phrases that we hear and that we're used to saying. But I think it's just kind of good to be conscious of what we're saying and maybe the origins of where that phrase came from. That's kind of a prime example of something that seems so minuscule, and obviously, like, compared to some of the bigger issues, that is not, you know, end of the world. I guess, like, my kind of opinion on everyday sexism is, you know, if we can't even look at the little things, like, you know, how we talk and the phrases we use, then how are we going to even go about tackling, you know, the bigger issues? Like, you know, if we can't even look at the small things. That's kind of where I've come from with, you know, my interest in everyday sexism. Then the next one, it's kind of a funny phrase because I had it in the list to do, and then I was googling, you know, the kind of origins of it before I started. And so the phrase is, you know, son of a bitch, to call someone, you know, son of a bitch. And I was kind of like, oh god, that's obviously sexist because, you know, you're saying, obviously, a bitch, you know, a derogatory term for a woman, and you're insulting the man by basically saying, oh, you're just a bad person because you are the son of, you know, a bad woman, you know, a bitch. So I was like, Jesus Christ, like, and you'll notice it with so many, like, insults towards men. It's that those men are bad because of their relation to a woman. You'll notice it with so many things, and son of a bitch is just one of those examples. But then when I was googling it, there's kind of a lot of threads being like, oh, is this sexist, is this not? I think the origins of it were kind of more like, oh, like female dog bitch. That's all kind of dodgy as well. I feel like it's all kind of interconnected anyway. It's meant to be kind of like, you know, like a dog in heat, a female dog in heat, and she's, you know, like aggressive, and that's kind of, I think, where bitch comes from. Aggressive woman, God forbid. And then son of a bitch. So, and again, like, I mean, I don't use this phrase. I think it's more maybe of an American thing. Yeah, you know, it's just like, you just don't even think about these things, and then you're like, oh God, actually, wait, that's probably kind of dodgy. Then the next one, which I am so passionate about, is to say that someone has balls. Oh, he has balls. She has balls. You know, we all have balls. You know, you're ballsy, you're brave, like it just goes through me. And the worst part of it is that, like, I used to say this, and I still, like, if I still have the urge to say it, like, oh God, I don't have balls for that, you know, and I have to stop myself. I'm like, no, Lauren, oh, so annoying. Because obviously it, you know, comes from men being so brave, and you know, you need balls to do that. And what I just think is so funny is that, like, you couldn't find anything weaker probably on the human body than the balls. Oh my God, it's like world renowned that you kick a guy in the balls and his life is over. Like, oh my God, like, they're not strong at all. Like, that's what I find just so funny about this. And furthermore, obviously a woman's equivalent are like her ovaries, I suppose, but they're, you know, inside. If we were to use, like, you know, female external genitalia, like, you know, the vulva or the vagina, like, they are so much stronger. Like, they literally push out a child. Like, I just find it so funny. They are so much stronger than balls. And like, vaginas take a pounding. Like, I'm sorry, they do. Like, and they're chilling. They're all good. You don't even go near a guy's balls, and that's like, oh my God. That's what I just find so funny about that phrase. It's just like, please, like, I don't want to have balls. I think it'd be great if instead of saying, oh, someone has balls, like, yeah, someone has a vagina. Yeah, oh yeah, she's got a vagina. I realise that's probably a long way away in my feminist agenda, but someday, who knows. Another one, the phrase, to kiss a few frogs before you meet your prince. Like, and again, I mean, I don't know who actually says this, but it really bothers me. And it's meant to be kind of this nice thing, like, you know, if the girl's heartbroken, and it's like, oh, well, you know, you just gotta kiss a few frogs before you meet your prince. Like, no, I shouldn't have to do that. And like, it's basically condoning, like, going out with an asshole, making women, you know, put up with assholes in you know, in hopes that, okay, no, you just put up with this now, and then you'll find your true love after all of it. No. And then not just the phrase, it's just like, it's the mentality of where that phrase comes from as well. With so many, with you know, all the things that I said, it's like, yeah, women, you have to put up with this, you know, before you know, meet the love of your life. And I feel like that mentality, women will, you know, stay with an asshole thinking that, okay, well, maybe he'll turn out to be the love of my life, or, you know, maybe the whole, you know, she can change him thing. Another one is like, if someone's wearing like revealing clothing, to say like, oh, that leaves little to the imagination. And it's like, and this one I find is like super obscure or something, because it's just like, what does that even mean? Like, leaves little to the imagination. No, sorry, I don't dress so you can imagine what I look like naked. Well, obviously it comes from if someone's wearing like revealing clothing, and it's like, that leaves little to the imagination, i.e. it's all out there, you know, it's all hanging out. And it's like, if I was to dress a bit more, you know, covered or whatever, that's not so that you can imagine what's underneath my clothes. Like, what? Like, no, like, beyond me. Then another one which might be controversial. So this is pretty much kind of an Irish thing. So to call someone a ride, but like, to ride is to have sex, and calling someone a ride is like, I mean, it's a compliment, it is. You know, like, oh, she's some ride. I don't really use this phrase, but it's very common. It means that, like, you know, that she's really good looking and that you would ride her. But it's just like, it's just like, I do not want to be described by what I like to call my fuckability. Like, I don't want to be described as that. Like, I just find it crude, and it's kind of like, you know, like being called hot over being called beautiful. Like, I don't want to be called a ride, you know? I like, oh yeah, I ride her. Like, ooh, no. Like, and again, like, this is a very common thing. It's, you know, it's very casual, but I just don't particularly like that. And maybe that's, you know, the prude in me coming out. But yeah, I just Ooh, I don't know. Ooh. Then another one, and like again, I don't know how common this is, but it's definitely something that I used to say, like, and I hate that I used to say this, but I would have said, oh, you're raping the situation, or like to rape the situation. And this is horrendous. It basically means to take advantage of a situation. Like if someone says giving you 1 free drink or something, and then you end up getting them to give you 10 free drinks or something. Like you could say, oh, you know, they're raping the situation now. And obviously it's just horrendous because it is undermining actual rape, and it's just using it in everyday casual conversation. Obviously it's a hard topic, but I will definitely do a video on this down the line, that people use the word like rape in everyday conversation, and then it actually diminishes it when people actually say they've been raped. So yeah, that's another one, like, you know, and again, I don't know how common that is. I just know that I used to use it, and I feel like other people around me maybe use it as well, and it's just like, come on, no. To finish off with not so everyday one that's actually more overtly sexist, is to be like, oh, are you on your period or something? Yes, I am, thank you. You know, and I mean, I'm all about the period, and I will be doing loads more videos on that down the line as well, but just to, you know, briefly kind of touch on it in this video. Are you on your period? Like, oh, are you emotional? Or, I'm just like, first of all, like, me anyway, I am more emotional on my period. Leave me off. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, obviously, like, it's annoying when your emotions are just not what they normally are, and you know that it's just as a result of PMS and your hormones being all over the place. But it's like, yeah, I am on my period. Like, whatever. Like, do I care? No. I'll be stressing this point a lot more throughout this journey. But if it wasn't for the period, none of y'all would be here. None of y'all. So I am super like, woo, the period is great, you know, pros and cons, all that jazz. But if it wasn't for the period, none of y'all would be here. So that's that, really. I'm going to end the video here. A lot of people commented like other phrases that I think. These are just ones that I kind of noticed on my own. I didn't like Google them or anything. I wanted it to be as organic as possible. I'm sure there's loads. So if people even want to comment down below other phrases that I think, I would be actually fascinated to know, because there must be like so many that we just like don't even think of it, that we just continue saying, and I just think it's fascinating. Just how everyday language, and again, you know, these things are just so ingrained into what we do every day that it's so hard to change them. Thanks again for all the love, as per usual, everyone. I'm very excited, and it's all been great, so thank you. Bye bye.